Title: Weaponized Complexity: How the EUV Triad Became a Fortress of Modern Technology. Section 1: Introduction. Every generation builds a machine that reveals not only the limits of its engineering, but the character of its civilization. The extreme ultraviolet lithography machine, the crown jewel of modern chip making, is one such creation. It is an instrument of staggering precision, hundreds of thousands of parts, aligned to atomic tolerances, collectively printing the logic of the digital world onto wafers of silicon. But EUV is more than technology. It is structure, a self-reinforcing system of dependencies that span 3 nations. Born from collaboration, it matured into a mechanism of control. Today, the United States, the Netherlands, and Germany hold exclusive mastery of its components, a triad of power that has turned technical interdependence into geopolitical leverage. The story of EUV is not only about how humans pushed light to its limits, it is about how complexity itself became weaponized, how the very difficulty of building something became a tool for exclusion. Section 2: The Rise of the Triad. The EUV machine did not spring from conspiracy. It evolved from specialization. Germany had the world's best optics, honed by Carl Zeiss over a century of mastering microscopes and telescopes. The Netherlands, through Philips and later SML, led in precision mechatronics, systems capable of positioning mirrors and wafers with nanometer accuracy. The United States brought the laser plasma source, through Cymer, and the software ecosystem that modeled, simulated, and coordinated the entire process. Each nation owned a pillar of the problem: optics, motion, and light. None could complete the machine without the others. Over time, this technical interdependence hardened into institutional lock-in. ASML acquired Cymer. Zeiss became its optical partner. The 3 fused their fates through contracts, cross-ownership, and a shared stake in EUV's success. It was a triumph of cooperation and an accidental blueprint for monopoly. Section 3: The Cathedral of Complexity. To build an EUV system is to construct a cathedral of precision. The machine must focus a 13.5 nanometer wavelength of light, shorter than visible light, and so energetic that it cannot pass through glass. Instead, it must bounce off mirrors, each one polished to a surface smoothness of a few atoms. No single component is impossible. The integration is. A single EUV tool requires mirrors from Germany, lasers from the United States, motion systems from the Netherlands, and exotic photoresist from Japan. It costs upwards of $200 million and occupies the footprint of a small bus. The complexity, once a byproduct of ambition, became a fortress in itself. When innovation relies on countless bespoke parts, replication becomes nearly impossible. What began as an engineering necessity turned into a systemic barrier, a moat made of precision. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 4: Weaponized Interdependence. The moment EUV became real, it became political. The United States government realized that the entire semiconductor frontier ran through this 3-nation alliance. Control the exports, and you control who joins the future. Washington extended its jurisdiction extraterritorially. Any product using American technology, whether made in Eindhoven or Oberkochen, fell under American export law. The Netherlands and Germany, nominally independent, found themselves enforcing restrictions on behalf of the alliance. Together they formed what can only be described as a distributed lock. The United States holds the laser and software key. Germany holds the optical key. The Netherlands holds the integrative key. Each piece is useless without the others. The result? No single nation, not even within the triad, can reproduce the full machine independently, and certainly not China. What emerged was not just a supply chain, but a geopolitical password, intentionally fragmented so that no outsider could read the whole. Section 5: China and the Copycat Paradox. China has the engineers, the funding, and the ambition, but not the keys. For decades, its manufacturing model thrived on replication. Take what works elsewhere, scale it faster and cheaper. But high-end lithography resists imitation. It is not blueprints and code, it is process knowledge, distributed across decades, vendors, and tacit expertise. China's foundries, such as SMIC, have achieved limited success using older methods, reaching the 7-nanometer node through sheer engineering persistence. Yet that is still 2 to 3 generations behind. Reverse engineering EUV is like trying to replicate a Stradivarius violin from a photograph. The principle is clear, but the soul lies in invisible tolerances. The deeper paradox is cultural. Imitation works for scaling, not for discovery. To escape the triad, China must stop chasing it. It must think from first principles and redefine what advanced means. Section 6. The first principles escape. Every technological fortress eventually invites rebellion. The next wave of innovation will not copy EUV, it will bypass it. The same way SpaceX reimagined rocketry by simplifying what NASA had overcomplicated, the next lithographic leap will favor elegance over intricacy. Already, researchers explore alternative routes: nano-imprint lithography, which stamps patterns directly rather than projecting them; multi-beam electron lithography, using electrons instead of light; three-dimensional chip stacking, which multiplies density vertically rather than shrinking laterally; photonic and neuromorphic computing, which replace electrons with light or brain-like networks. These methods may not produce smaller chips, but they can produce better systems. Smaller is no longer the only metric of progress. Efficiency, parallelism, and material innovation are rising to equal footing. The next breakthrough may come not from another triad, but from a single lab that rediscovers simplicity. Section 7. Historical pattern and prediction. History suggests that technological monopolies collapse not through theft, but through reinvention. Steam engines gave way to turbines. Mainframes yielded to microprocessors. Complex rockets gave way to reusable boosters. The EUV Triad sits atop the same arc. Its dominance will last only until someone realizes that the goal is not to rebuild the cathedral, but to replace it with a workshop, smaller, cheaper, faster to iterate. When that moment comes, the monopoly will dissolve not by force, but by obsolescence. Section 8. Conclusion. The EUV machine embodies both the genius and the fear of modern civilization. It shows what nations can achieve when they unite around precision, and what they lose when that precision becomes policy. For now, the United States, the Netherlands, and Germany share the vault key to advanced computing. But no fortress lasts forever. Complexity is a poor long-term defense against creativity. The next revolution will not require three nations to hold hands. It will begin wherever someone decides that control through complication is a dead end, and that the simplest path to progress is to start over. Final thought. The EUV Triad may have weaponized complexity, but history favors those who simplify the impossible.